All right, everybody. Welcome to the P114 podcast. This is Jesse Knight.
I'm Randall Lanier.
I'm Aiden Ford.
Nathaniel Heath.
And we're here to talk about all things filmmaking related. Today, we're going to sort of continue our talk from last week about story. We had sort of talked about things that had influenced us early on that might have put us on this track to learn different facets of this craft of filmmaking and stuff like that. So what we're going to talk about here in a little bit is really concentrating on the process of filmmaking. And something I've done is look at some scripts and stuff like that of movies I know really well, and then sort of thinking about like, well, the translation of that script to the final picture and what led to that, and you know, that kind of stuff. But first, let's take care of a little bit of business. We got a pretty good comment from last week's episode 2 of the P114 Filmmakers podcast from, let's see, he wanted to be called something else. This is from Driveway Brothers, but let's see. Oh yeah, well, I'm supposed to call you Gonzo. All right, Gonzo. So your comment is this: wow, another great discussion, guys. I really wish I could be in the room to give my thoughts at length with you, but as a truck driver, I'm not at home all the time. Conan, the Barbarian, is a powerful movie for him as a kid because it showed him that no matter how much you suffer, everybody can earn their metaphorical crown. You know, just sort of fighting for what you are about, I guess, and that kind of stuff. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was about the duality of man, good and bad morality of humanity. Also, have we seen The Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino's movie? We've all.
It was really good.
I think we've all seen. You haven't seen Hateful Eight. A couple of us have. Pretty neat movie. Tarantino, as usual, like kind of what he builds his stuff on is bringing aspects of movies from the past and different genres and stuff like that, and gives it to us sort of in a new light or in a new way and stuff like that. So he kind of did the same thing, I think, with Hateful Eight. Like, it especially reminded me of a lot of westerns sort of happening in the 60s and 70s. You know, they had sort of an artistic bent to them and that kind of stuff, you know. That's kind of cool. Let's see. He says he's enjoyed story adaptation from comic movie in the film Constantine. Constantine's one of those weird ones. Actually, I liked the movie.
I loved Constantine.
I knew the
shot.
comic book. Yeah, it was incredibly shot, and all that kind of stuff. The creatures were actually CG, but they were scary. Go figure.
Yeah, they were.
But the comic book, I think some people had. I had a little bit of a thing to go through because in the comic book, obviously, it takes place in England. It's about this like British dude who's plagued by the devil in his life and stuff like that. But honestly, it was the same story, and I was quite surprised to see, even though Constantine was kind of a sleeper when it came out, from what I remember, I went back and watched it a year or two later, and meaning that not a lot of people went, not a lot of buzz. That kind of stuff, but
I can see it.
It was really good.
Keanu Reeves.
was good.
Keanu Reeves is a box office draw at the time. It was, but it still is to some. It depends
with
on
certain characters
movies,
and movies he does, yeah.
But they still consider him being a really not a great actor. So I can see where people were kind of shied away from that.
Right. Well, there's a big polarity because there's a whole class dedicated to this. You might find this funny. I don't know if you're aware of this. In LA, at the LA Film School, they have a class that's just dedicated to Keanu Reeves and his acting.
Well, see,
so it's interesting.
They did a sketch on Mad TV, how he was teaching acting class.
Right.
And the guy who played him was, really hilarious because he basically played the character he did on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Sure.
But that's basically what and he was like going, hey. So, that kind of thing. Just acting exactly like he did.
Right.
And he was like saying, I was in Dracula. And he started doing a very fake British accent or whatever type thing. That kind of thing.
Right.
It's just like, it was a takeoff on that. But that doesn't surprise me because they may have been taking some of that from that.
Right.
But
He was in Dracula. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I loved Bram Stoker's Dracula, honestly.
But but still, he's not. Like I said, I've heard a lot of people, kind of dismiss his acting or whatever, ability, whatever.
But
Whether
yeah,
you like it or not,
if nothing
everybody has
else,
their opinion.
though, he has stood the test of time. he's dipped up and down a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But guess what? I mean, the movie where he avenges his dead dog.
Oh yeah, John Wick.
John Wick. Those movies are hugely popular. Now the first one I think is the best, but still, the second one was pretty good. I think they're making a third. Am I right about that?
I'm sure they are.
I've never,
Yeah.
I've never even seen John Wick. I heard it was good though.
Yeah, it's just bullet ballet stuff. It's just to shoot 'em up, but it's
What is with
good.
all your lingo? What's bullet ballet? I can't. Sometimes Jesse's lingo is too cool for me.
It's too old and antiquated. A bullet ballet, you would have definitely if in the late '90s, early 2000s, a little more of that. But there's a lot of Hong Kong filmmakers coming over here. John Woo, for instance, is when you think of bullet ballet, is that lots of scenes with a lot of bullets flying.
Okay,
That's shoot 'em ups, where that's sort of built around those set pieces.
Another thing about Constantine too is that some people might have shied away from it because of the hell and heaven type conversations going on, where a lot of people say, "Oh, that's not my heaven and hell," blah blah blah. You know, it's like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it did
Well,
touch the
whose is? Everybody has their own concept, honestly.
I'm not saying that I do.
I know,
I'm just saying, the general audience.
But I totally get that.
But
even the comic book is a very select amount of people that are going to watch. It's a very dark theme. You know?
Yeah, I mean, because he's not considered to be a major super. Well, I mean, this is even before the superhero craze too. That's
Right.
another thing. There wasn't a lot of comic book movies around either.
Right, just a few. Maybe The Crow at that time, and
Well, no, this was a little later than that.
later. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, there
But I mean,
hadn't been a lot.
Yeah, and plus it's somewhat like you just said, obscure character too. It wasn't a major, comic book or
I'd
whatever
say
type thing.
most people didn't even realize that Constantine was based on a comic.
I didn't.
But
I didn't
Yeah.
even know that either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Hellblazer is the comic book.
Wow.
And it's it's neat. It's the same kind of thing. It's a dark story.
I really liked. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to
Go
interrupt
for it,
people.
no.
But I liked the. I can't think of the actor's name, but he's played a lot of characters. I always liked him in movies, or television shows too. The guy who played the devil.
In Constantine.
Yeah, I liked his character. 'Cause I liked how I think it was Gabriel at the end of it. He was like stabbed her, and she was like saying, she was like, it stabbed her and hurt her or whatever. He says, I guess you know that he doesn't have your back anymore. Like that, like he's talking about God or whatever type thing. And I love that scene because it's so cool.
I love the scene when he's going to heaven and he flicks him off.
Yeah.
Was it? What's the character?
It was
He was
the
the
devil.
devil.
The devil? Huh?
I don't
Not
know.
Balthazar? Gavin
I
Ross?
know they may have called him, but he was the devil. They may have called
Oh,
him.
here we go. Peter Stormare.
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he does a lot of almost everything he's in is good.
Wasn't he in Fargo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's an interesting
in Fargo.
character. He was that really demented.
He always plays
killer.
demented. He always plays
Yeah.
like just like really just lecherous people or whatever.
Sure.
Like, he always plays that.
But he's good at it.
He's good at it.
That's what you want,
But yeah, but that was. I mean, it was a good movie. The other one, I think I mean, if y'all were not, y'all have anything else to say about
Constantine.
I mean, it was well shot or whatever type thing. It was very beautiful.
The next one I think you're going to talk about is one I haven't seen, but I want to.
Oh, yeah, Falling Down.
Falling Down, yeah.
I like it. It was a pretty good movie. I saw it when it first came out on video because I was working in the video store at the time.
Right.
So it's a good movie. It's not the greatest of movies, but it's a pretty good movie. I really admit. Michael Douglas is in there. I keep on forgetting his name. But anyway, his character. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news at the time. This was more of a period piece to a point too, because there's a lot. Robert Duvall is in it.
Yeah. Oh, he's incredible.
There's a period piece during the time. It's kind of there's a lot of stuff going on where people would go and shoot up. Well, it's happening now. There's people showing up to places and shooting people.
Yeah.
Basically, and you could probably watch it now and say it's more of a time capsule now, but it's and he kind of goes in to a McDonald's. He's kind of off, and he gets refused because he asked for egg McMuffin. They stopped serving breakfast at 10:30, and it's like 10:40 35 or something like that.
Right.
And so he gets refused. He's, I want an egg McMuffin. No, I want an egg McMuffin. And he pulls out a gun right there, and you think he's gonna go, everybody in the McDonald's, which happened back in the early '80s by James Huberty.
Okay.
But that I'm a true crime person, so I don't study serial killers or spree killers or anything like that. But anyway, so that but it comes into find out he's really just a person who's kind of just had it with their life or whatever type of thing. He's not he's a protagonist of the story, but other than saying he's a main character of the story, he's not a good guy or whatever, or he's a troubled guy. Let's just say that. Right. He's not a bad guy either. He's a troubled guy.
What's this called?
Falling Down.
Falling Down.
It's about a guy who snaps, right?
Yeah.
Just from the trailer. If you watch the trailer on YouTube or whatever, it's kind of what it represents.
I thought it'd be more. Well, at the time, you gotta remember too, I was probably 19 years old, 18 years old.
Right.
So I was thinking it's going to be an action movie because he's going to go blow everybody away or whatever type of thing.
Right.
And
they kind of build it that
which
way
is
in the trailer.
not, they do build it in the trailer too.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily a good thing for him to do because in this case of this movie. Now, Rambo can go around and blow everybody away or whatever. Schwarzenegger could go blow everybody away.
But they're all bad guys.
Yeah, exactly. These are all innocent people. So you don't want him to go around blowing everybody away.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
unless you're Uwe Boll, who did that in Rampage, but anyway.
Well, that's another story. But anyway, that's what the movie's about. Is about the guy pulling it.
Right, and it probably my guess is, and I really need to watch it, of course. My guess is that there is enough redeeming things about that character to make us feel what he's feeling in a certain kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's not. He's a troublemaker. He's not a bad guy.
He snaps.
It's not like you can say, "Oh God, I can't wait. I hope he gets knocked down at the end, or he gets shot at the end because I want him to do. I don't like him, kind of thing." Mm-hmm. It's I mean, you feel for him, in some in subtle ways.
Yeah. There's enough there where it's like, gosh, if the right circumstances happen to me, I could end up blowing it, and for sure.
But a lot of stuff was going on during the news during that time. That's why that movie was, I think, made basically.
Right. Yeah. No, and it was sort of like saying, "Guess what? There's going to be more of this."
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's relevant today. If you want to watch it now, it's relevant today too. Mm-hmm. You said you like controversial movies. Yeah. There you go. Because it was controversial during that time too. Because people was worried about how it was going to be portrayed. Right. And if he was going to be, like you said, he was portrayed with some sympathy, but at the same time too, you don't want to say go, go, type thing either. So it was kind of controversial during that time because they weren't sure how it was going to be.
Nice.
The other one, he said, what was the other one? It was Falling Down and what?
Falling Down, just that, and Hateful Eight, I believe. Fallen. That's right. Oh, sorry about that, Gonzo.
Different. Yeah, that was a different kind of movie.
That.
Do you see that? That's a different kind of movie too. It's Denzel Washington, which is going to be he's going to have a good performance anyway.
Yeah.
But it's a different kind of movie than I thought it was going to be.
It had a clever trick about it too.
Mm-hmm. What was it about?
It's about a spirit of a demon or something like that is able to jump into bodies and jump from body to body. So
he doesn't do a lot of sci-fi. He doesn't do a lot of sci-fi type stuff or whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's all just people's acting and how that's got to be an interesting thing because it's the same entity. But you got all these different people playing it, but you got to hold that character together.
He can't do anything about it because that he's jumping into innocent people.
Yeah.
He's not.
Was he a cop in it or?
I think he might have been a cop. I don't remember the details about what his situation was.
But for some reason,
John Goodman is in it too, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe John Goodman's in it.
John Goodman's a good performance in it too.
Yeah.
But like I said, he might be still a cop. I'm not sure, but anyway.
Right.
But because he's
a homicide detective.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he stopped the serial killer and he thought he won. He got a guy. He thought he arrested him and he got him, but it jumped from that guy to another person, and so that demon or that spirit, if you will, the bad spirit, so
Yeah.
it's just it jumped to a teenage girl at one time, and she was talking to him in really a creepy way. It was a really good scene right there with that girl. But all of them were really good. The actors they jumped into, because it wasn't like popular actors they were jumping into or anything like that. It was just kind of main.
It's got some names in it, like you'd mentioned Goodman.
Right.
It also had Donald Sutherland and,
Right.
and James Gandolfini.
But the ones he was jumping into mostly was just unknown, basically
But
people.
it was good.
But they really did a good job of acting
For
with
sure.
it. But that's a really good movie.
Yeah, Fallen. It's pretty neat, and it's sort of like this guy had mentioned Constantine and Fallen, and they sort of have that. They're dealing with these sort of dark forces, and that kind of stuff, which is always like a good kind of area for story and stuff like that. Unknown, fear of the unknown.
And in a way, Falling Down was dealing with some within.
Yeah, it's that sort of
the
dark,
enemy within, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have any of y'all seen the movie Christine?
Yes.
The older, it's older. I think it's from
About
19
Possessed
Carpenter.
Yeah.
I
John
have not
Carpenter.
seen it,
It's
and
so
I should,
good.
I'll burn in filmmaking hell for that.
It's
But,
in Stephen King.
classic.
Stephen King wrote it.
it's a
Yeah.
Stephen King story.
That's
Stephen
why
King
it's so
book.
good.
Oh yeah, I grew up with that movie.
Yes,
Like
I
my mom.
love that movie.
Yeah, it's really good. You would think it sounds stupid, but it doesn't, because it's like the whole movie, the whole concept is the car is, it's evil
Possessed,
cars.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
you don't even know really the background of the car itself. It's done things you've seen like in the beginning, like years
Right.
ago, what it did, but not how it got to the point where it was.
Right,
Sure.
right.
But it like takes over this kid's mind, I guess, and he falls in love with it, becomes this total
Yeah, he gets
badass
possessed
because he
by
was a
it, yeah.
nerd
Right.
before.
He's obsessed.
Yeah, it's just a really good. It's like a feel good movie.
Yeah, sort of like
aside
the movies that
with a
y'all
horror
were just
movie.
discussing.
Right.
Yeah, sort of like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, y'all would
It's
like. I
dark.
know y'all would like Falling Down. I mean,
Sure.
y'all would. If y'all like those, like I said, the
Yeah.
I'm gonna
movies,
check it
the
out
way that y'all
as
been
soon as
talking
we
about
leave here.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Christine's one of those on my list. It's an older movie, and you would think I'd seen
I
it,
can't believe
but I
you've never
haven't.
seen that.
I
That's
know,
a classic.
I know. I feel like I've seen it because they riffed off of it in Futurama. But
Really?
yeah.
I can't say. I think I might have seen bits and pieces of it. I haven't
Yeah.
seen all of it or anything like that, so I can't really get on you about
But I
that.
love Carpenter, and I need to.
Yeah.
His craft was really good.
I love Carpenter too.
Yeah, I'm a Carpenter fan too. I'm surprised.
Right.
He still really jumped
Still
on you.
creating.
I wonder if
great stuff.
it's pretty cool. Like he does do a lot of the writing. It's arguable that probably his better work is when he was a co-writer on stuff. He had a writing partner for a long time, especially on his earlier stuff, like that. But
He did this movie called The Ward, and
Yeah.
it came out 2011.
I saw it.
I really liked it.
Mhm.
It was creepy. It had a really creepy factor to it, and it was kind of deep. It was kind of deep, but it was really good.
Right, and it reminded me of some other stuff coming out
did.
around that time too. Yeah, I need to watch The Ward
His style,
again.
definitely.
Yeah, but Christine, let's see, Keith Gordon, John Stockwell,
I watched that
Alexandra
the other day,
Paul,
actually.
Robert Prosky, Harry Dean Stanton, of course, who died last year, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, I always liked Harry Dean Stanton.
You gotta love Harry Dean Stanton.
He's an incredible actor. I like everything he's been in. At least him, I've liked.
He's gonna give you a good performance.
For sure.
Where he was in.
For sure, yeah. That was made in '83, so Christine, pretty long time ago. Yeah. Okay, I need to see Christine.
You really do. I own it. Do you want to borrow it?
Sure.
I'll bring it for you to Monday.
Okay.
I'm gonna
It's a
write it.
deal. It's
Yeah.
a deal. All right, so that kind of covers most of Gonzo's question there and stuff like that. Hopefully we've given him some new insight on it, or at least entertained him with some of our bantering on these films. Sort of what I'd like to kind of focus on today is sort of continuing our talk about story and push screenwriting a little bit more today, is sort of the thing we were trying to do is to look for some scripts online of movies that we know already, that we at least personally know ourselves, so we can kind of think about what is there on that written page versus what did they end up with in the final product, And I'll just start us off by talking about a film I know really well. It used to be maybe my favorite, but whatever. I don't have a favorite anymore, but I know the film very well, Apocalypse Now. And originally it was written by John Milius, I believe, with a little bit of I think, well, in the documentary they say John Milius and George Lucas worked on that script together, but Milius is credited as the screenwriter. And so the earliest draft that I could find, and I bet you I could find an earlier one, was in 1975, I believe, right before they went into production. It was a draft by Francis Ford Coppola, who took over the writing throughout the production of the film, because he had to rewrite and rechange it and work on it and stuff like that. But it was interesting, at least that 75 draft version, had to have a lot of the original John Milius script, because the beginning is totally different than what they ended up with in the movie. Actually the opening shot to the movie was sort of, they figured that out in the editing. But the beginning in the script at least was this story of, it was already sort of in the middle of an operation of a special forces. You're there with a special forces guy and he's in the jungle. There's North Vietnamese there, and it talks about that. Whereas we know very well in the movie, you start off with the guy in his hotel room waiting for a mission, just kind of losing his mind a little bit each day that he's there, And totally different starts, completely different. It was really interesting. So that right in and of itself gave me an insight to wow, how much can a body of work change as it goes through the process of becoming a film, And then screenwriting is also very complex in a sense of who works on that script. There are a lot of screenwriters out there that are making bank who are never credited. They're hired to doctor and work on all these different scripts that are coming out. So some of your big writers out there you may never even hear of. It's kind of interesting, how that happens. They're paid, but kind of uncredited and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then you've got them where they are credited and tallied and all that kind of stuff. You have several directors who are writers. We're talking about John Carpenter. Well, he's done a lot of writing himself, some with a writing team, and then some where he did it by himself and stuff like that. I can't remember on the Ward whether or not he did that. I know he wrote, I think he wrote Ghosts of Mars and stuff like that. But I think with, let's see, I'm going to look up John Carpenter right now just to make sure that I'm at least a little bit accurate with this. So we can go. He's done, actually right now he's, he was on tour as with his music, because invariably he did a lot of his own composing and stuff like that. So he is credited with Halloween, which is probably one of my favorites of his. Also The Fog, Escape from New York. He wrote Halloween 2.
He wrote, he didn't direct it.
Yeah. He also is uncredited as a writer on the very debatable Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which I like that as a movie, but when they
I didn't even know.
But when you want to see Michael Myers, it just didn't compute with people. Originally the Halloween series was to be a different story each time, but Michael Myers sort of. It wasn't anybody's. It was actually the audience's decision that Michael Myers is a state. But when he appears in 2, you kind of want the continuation.
They had every intention of just having those 2 movies of Michael Myers and having going, like you said, anthology. Go to the anthology movies of into the 3. But
he did write Ghosts of Mars, and he went on to be. He at least came up with the story for some of the other Halloweens and stuff like that. Pretty interesting. But you either have dedicated you think of the screenwriter, you just think of the person that sits there at their thing facing the blank page, and that's all they do. And then they go into meetings and pitch it to executives. But you gotta also remember a lot of those directors that we hear about, your Tarantinos, John Carpenter, people like that, honestly do a lot of their own writing and stuff. Kubrick, for instance, he'll take someone like Stephen King's, and this is sort of a debatable kind of hot topic, but Stephen King, as we know, wrote The Shining, and I've read the book. It's incredible. I did see Kubrick's Shining before I read the book, but I didn't really have any problems between the two. I took them as they were, and they were alike enough in a way that was fine for me. But what happened was, and you can find really good interviews, especially with Stephen King. He's actually very nice to Kubrick. He talks about his difficulties of it, but he does it. Well, in one of the interviews I saw, actually, I didn't really get a huge amount of anger from it, but it could have been because years had passed and stuff. When it happened, I'm sure he was very upset
I heard a lot about
by what went down and that kind of stuff, of course. But at least in the later interview I saw with him, he was actually very nice.
It was probably after Kubrick had passed away. And
I would think so.
Let that lie.
And he did make the statement that he did like it as a movie, but the differences between his work, and that's got to be tough because it's your baby, and then this other person makes it their baby, and there's sort of that problem of identity that it can be created.
Because he liked De Palma's, not Christine, Carrie.
Yeah,
he liked that.
Right, and it's a little different than the book, and I've read that book too. It's a good book if you haven't read Carrie. It's short and easy to read. The first movie with Sissy Spacek is really good.
Yeah, we talked about it last time.
Yeah, exactly.
But what was I gonna say? But he did do. I mean, Stephen King did direct the mini series they did on The Shining on ABC.
He directed that?
He did direct it.
Oh wow, that's why he says he likes that version better.
Yeah.
And it is truer to the story. And
it is, but the funny thing about it is, I have never read the book, so I can't say yay or nay.
Right.
It's really a lighter. Where you know if you all saw The Shining, the original Shining, or the one that Kubrick did, it's very horror.
It's a horror movie.
Where if y'all have seen the miniseries, I'm not saying it's
more of wonderment.
It's or anything like that, but it's a little lesser of a horror movie.
So it's like more story or something?
It's got a little lighter tone to it.
You're not.
I won't say lighter tone to it, but I mean it's.
Well, with Kubrick's, you're hit with this like feeling of dread from the get-go, from the very first image you see all the way to the end. It's heavy. There's no real moments of levity. Jack will make you laugh here and there, but it's usually over some dark stuff.
Dark comedy.
But I've seen parts of that one, and it had, honestly, the main actor in it was someone you associate with comedy, from the TV show Wings. But good actor, and honestly, watching those little bits, I thought he played that character fine.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing about the Kubricks is that Jack Nicholson was crazy from the beginning.
Yes.
I mean, there was like, there was a little bit of where you didn't see maybe some craziness.
He turns a corner, but it's like
it's like. When even the driving to the hotel, it's just like, he's going to snap any second or whatever. When's that going to happen?
I don't want this guy to be my dad
exactly.
from the get-go.
He wasn't a dad. I mean, it's almost like, to me, if I had not seen, didn't know anything about the story, didn't know anything about, I would have said it was her kid and he was his stepdad or something. It has
that kind of feeling to it.
That's what it. I mean, really, it does. And when I first saw that, I'm like, wow, that really just looks like his stepdad. More than his. I mean, is that his dad? The kind of thing.
Right. Was it Jack Nicholson's acting that made him so intimidating, or was it the script itself? Because he's a great actor, but he is also intimidating in every role.
When you get to the script, I mean, Kubrick took the book and King handed him a script. Kubrick took King's script and went, and he wrote his own. And you can tell that, And there's even a sort of like. Some jabs that Kubrick took at Stephen King, they had an argument over the color of the family car, the Beetle, and that kind of stuff. And Kubrick, of course, it's his movie, so he made it the color he wanted it to be, which was the color it needed to be for him in his movie, for whatever reason that is. But there's this great scene later on where you see another smashed car of the same make as that, which is the color of the one that King wanted. Which is a big blank U to King from Kubrick, in the movie. So it was kind of interesting to see that little bit. And then, you can pull in all kinds of... We could talk about Shining for several episodes.
But I mean,
where do you find the series before you...
The miniseries? Yeah. I got it on DVD.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's in the miniseries?
Steven Weber, who used to play on Wings. Rebecca De Mornay plays the mother and an unknown kid or whatever. I didn't recognize the kid at all.
Right.
He might have been in some other things, but I don't know.
One of the interesting things about that version is they actually shot it at the hotel that King wrote it in. So there's that.
Are you serious?
The hotel they created for Kubrick's was actually a composite. Basically, the exterior was some really ominous hotel up in Denver, Colorado somewhere. And then, of course, the inside is a set at Shepperton Studios
You're talking about the
in
movie,
England.
right?
Yeah, the Kubrick movie,
okay.
yeah. And the thing was that the hotel that Kubrick designed was an impossible place. You don't really think about it while you're watching, but there's things that they're going into a room in one door, but they're coming out of that room, same door, but it's on the opposite side of the hallway. You look for, when you cut back to people, certain things have moved on the wall behind them. Just that subconscious thing that they're ghosts there, you know. Things are changing. They aren't what they seem. Stuff that you would miss, like a chair being against the wall in the background. And you cut back to it, normally that would be a problem with continuity, but not in this one. You know, not when you have 8 years to plan for one movie.
Oh, yeah.
3 years, 5 years or whatever.
I mean, like we were talking about Jack Nicholson's character being just like in a split second, he's gonna snap any second.
Right.
Steven Weber, you could maybe kind of play with. Okay, it's gonna take him a little bit to get nuts, type
Right.
thing. It's gonna take some way, but at the same time too, you're looking at him as the wings guy. So
Yeah.
you're like, and when
Yeah,
he
a little
becomes,
hard to-
and when he becomes crazy, it's a little bit. He goes a little bit
Over the top,
over
maybe.
the top with his performance or whatever, where it's just not quite there, kind of thing. So you have kind of an opposite thing, with where Jack
Right.
Nicholson's gonna give you a great crazy performance. Maybe
Sure.
Steven Weber might give you a little bit of the saner saner
Right.
performance.
Right.
Just to whatever you want to say about it. But anyway. And also too in the book, which I heard, like I said again, I listened to podcasts that talk about the Shining, both Shinings, because they would compare the two, and they're not to spoil everything, but there, where Jack Nicholson was using an axe, he's in the book, the character uses a what is that game that they do outside? It's like a ball game or
Yeah,
like a
you're
little
talking
ball
about.
that they have spikes in and they get through the hoop or whatever type thing, and I can't remember the name of it.
That
It doesn't have a sharp edges around the
it's the
thing.
round at the both ends.
Yeah,
And it hits the ball like that.
Yeah.
It's kinda-
I can't think of
I
the
know what
name
you're
of the
talking
thing.
about.
But I mean,
Yeah.
he uses that. Now in the book, he uses that too. But see, I'm assuming Kubrick said, "Well, that's not scary, so I'm going to throw an axe in there." So
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying that's just me guesstimating. I could see, why he
I could see
wanted
how that
him
could
to
be
do that.
the case.
I could see that
Right.
too, because I wouldn't get so scared from a. I mean, it would
Whatever.
be scary
I
just
can't-
a little bit
croquet.
trying to-
Croquet. That's
Oh,
what
croquet
it is.
mallet.
Okay, yeah.
Croquet mallet.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten scared from that either.
Yeah, so because they went by the book, because like I said, this is Stephen King directing it, so they went more by the book.
Right.
The character of the father and son was more of a tighter character, a tighter father and son relationship.
Right.
Where, because at the end it shows him grown up and graduating from college or high school. I can't remember now
Right.
which one
Oh,
it
you're
is.
talking about the book, right?
Yes, in the book and in the miniseries.
Miniseries, okay.
So it shows him
Good, the
and
kid lived.
and see, he died. The father dies at the end, like both ways, both things,
Stories, yeah.
both stories. But he's dying. He dies to save them or something. I can't remember
Right.
now. He dies some way or another in the miniseries a different
In
way.
Kubrick's, he dies a monster.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the miniseries, he dies saving them or whatever type thing. And so he's standing
Right.
there as a spiritual form, or not mean, as a ghost, if you will, at his at his son's graduation, saying, and the guy and the kid's looking around. Of course, he has a shining, so he has powers or whatever, so he can see, spirits or whatever type
Right.
thing. And so he sees his father
Yeah.
in the back of
He's
the
got
room.
the Shining. Yeah.
They do the and rum.
Yeah, they do do that.
Yeah, that's in the book too.
Yeah.
That's
so.
great. I need to
So
read the
you think-
book. I need to read it.
It's a good book.
Yeah, they went by from what I heard. Now, I haven't read the book. They went by pretty loyal to the book, whatever, in the miniseries.
So when they make a book, and or when you write a book and then it turns into a movie, don't they make a script
Yeah,
based off the book?
absolutely.
So is it usually this tend to be the same person?
It depends. A lot of options does require maybe the actual novelist might have a shot to write the screenplay. Invariably, though, in the case of The Shining, Kubrick, the deal was Kubrick could do whatever he wanted. He got the book, even though Stephen King provided him a screenplay that King wrote. You know, like I said,
Oh, yeah,
Kubrick's going to make it his movie, which he did. And
So did he buy the rights to? Like, how does that work? Does he?
you get the rights to it. Kubrick actually, a lot of his work were based on popular novels at the time. That's why Kubrick is all over the place as far as genre goes.
I've noticed.
You know, he's sci-fi, horror, drama, really tight, very, it really adheres to the period that he's working on. You can think of Barry Lyndon. A lot of people would be totally bored watching it, but it is a fantastic movie and really went to great lengths to show what it would have been like maybe to have lived during that time. You know, and it's not a movie for everybody. You know, it's like I said, it'll bore the pants off of some people.
I
But
think it was a box office kind of like didn't do
it
well
didn't
at the
do
box
well
office.
at all or anything like that. And then I think he made The Shining after that movie,
So
which
he
kind
was-
of
yeah,
popped him back up.
and everybody went.
Because Kubrick was somebody, anything he made was a success.
I still remember the trailer of The Shining, the first Shining movie. The trailer, oh my god, that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah,
I was probably what six years old maybe or something like that.
right.
And they showed it on television regular during the family time, and it was crazy. It was scary as anything because it showed Jack Nicholson with the axe in his arm, is going like this, looking at you through the
door.
the close up of him holding the axe, and then it shows. I mean, it cuts around all this. It's not exactly happens in the movie. It cuts. It's a trailer, so it cuts in the movie, but it shows him with an axe, kind of like walking, and then he's like looking like that at the screen, and then it shows the little kid running. Which it doesn't happen in the movie, but it shows him running kind of like in a far distance. So as a kid, 6 years old, and he sees a guy with an axe,
For sure.
Sweet.
and you're like, I had to bury my face in like pillows or whatever whenever that trailer would come on. And this is on television. This is not on a movie screen or anything like that. This is on television.
Yeah.
And this was when TV was a little more tamer with their what they put on or whatever type thing.
I saw it on my first experience with The Shining was Kubrick's version on TV, and it happened to be the room 237 scene. I had walked into the room, my parents were watching, I saw that, I became transfixed and totally and completely horrified all at the same time. It bothered me what I saw, but I loved it at the same time.
That scene in the miniseries is actually, I think, better in the miniseries than it is in Kubrick's, because it's creepier to me anyway.
Nice. Well, this is very much on the book too.
Yeah, I mean, it's creepier. For some reason, it creeped me out in the middle of the day. I was watching the miniseries because I had taped it off of ABC at the time, and I was watching it, and it was creeping me out in the middle of the day. I was watching it during the middle of the sun was shining and everything outside. And it creeped me out as anything because it was just the character of the woman was different from the Kubrick's whatever, but just to her eyes and just the way she moved around, the way they did her up or whatever type thing, creeped the crap out of me.
It's kind of interesting. So with the Apocalypse Now script and stuff like that, the differences I noticed. What happens to that script along the way? You start off with John Milius's, which created the fire, and they saw that, and it was like, okay, Coppola's like, okay, this is the project we're going to make. But that development that he took from that point in time, all the different drafts that he was coming up with on the fly, on the spot, even during production, was kind of interesting. And he'd bring Milius back to work on it here and there. I love in the documentary Hearts of Darkness, Milius would be like, he'd feel like he's Goring going to talk to Hitler because there's no more gasoline. We're going to lose the war. But he said just like Hitler did to Goring, Coppola convinced Milius that this was going to be this movie was going to get not an Academy Award, but what's the big award you win for like all kinds of stuff. Shoot.
Oscars.
No, it's not to do with movies. It's just
Nobel Peace
Nobel. It's going to win a Nobel Prize. You know, he turned around because like, yeah, you can't keep making this. We're going to fail. There's no money. But then he was turned right around and saying, "Hey, we're going to win a Nobel Prize." But he was even, you know, it's interesting to see. Milius was a hardcore writer. He was a good director too. But seeing him like. When I think about I wrote this thing and it got changed, I just would think about the negative part of it. But Milius seemed to roll right with it. Yeah, you got to make this thing, you know, and it's sort of interesting to see that. They were friends. They knew each other all the time, really well. So that kind of helps. But just seeing what happens to that. And then like the movie was made and then they rewrote the script again for the Apocalypse Now Redux. And then it's verbatim what happens in the movie. It's kind of funny.
You want to say something?
I was just gonna say something about the part. Was that part in the book about the twins? And where the little boy comes out? I think he was riding his bike through the motel, and the twins. Was that in the book? And what about the other scene where the famous line where he's like, "Here comes Johnny."
Right.
What was that supposed to be about?
That was a takeoff on the Johnny Carson show where here's Johnny, what the announcer would do in the beginning, Ed McMahon.
The Tonight Show, with it. That was something. Was that in the book though?
I don't remember, and honestly, it would make sense either or because it was pop culture of the time.
Honestly, I don't think it was in the miniseries, but I'm not sure.
Right, it might not have been in the book.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a while, but
and also playing with Jack, you know. How he is, you know.
that I think the movie, Kubrick's movie, I think was more toward Johnny Carson, whatever type thing.
Right. Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Here's Johnny. You know?
That part, that's the famous line. But the twins, I still don't get that. I don't know if that was supposed
Play
to
with
be.
us. You know. Well, they were dead girls who were killed in that.
Girls, they were.
Was it like previous parents or something probably that had
They
like.
had been killed by their father, hadn't
they were. Their father killed
that's
chopped.
right.
The father chopped his own daughters and his wife up into little bits.
Oh yeah, I played that part. Yeah.
Okay, so that's why.
It's coming back to me.
That's what
You
what
are
they
the
were.
caretaker.
Yeah.
You know that whole scene.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a great scene. Oh my
I'm
god.
watching this as soon as I go home.
Yeah, that's just. I've never felt like such a feeling of dread.
Yeah, the movie is just
Sustained,
horrifying.
yeah.
I mean, and Jack Nicholson doesn't help it at all. Like he's terrifying. And
Oh.
I love him.
The only thing problem is I told him this, and this is a spoiler for people who's probably listening to this. At the end of the movie, Kubrick's version, it was very silly. At the
It
end,
was silly.
I like
where he
It
goes
was
like
funny.
he goes,
It was-
and that's it. That's exactly how he dies. I'm like, are you kidding me? They built this up so much, this guy, and he just goes.
froze.
I like it. I like the jump cut where you go from night to day and he's just frozen solid. I kind of like
Yeah,
that. But,
I thought
So,
he
like-
kind of looked fakey there. That's
Why
why
didn't he
that's
go
just me.
outside?
I mean, well, he was outside.
I mean, inside. Sorry. I'm
Hey,
not good at
because he's
multitasking.
crazed. He's a monster. He's going after to kill his son, and just he stayed
Maybe
out there
it's-
and got lost in the maze, and couldn't get his
Okay,
way
yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and
It's
just
been a couple
eventually
years.
ran out of energy and everything and died.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay,
you know, and they had feet of snow, a couple feet of snow
Yeah, there
and
was
all that
snow
kind of
then.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I
kind of vibe.
liked it. Like I said, again, they build up.
Yeah.
Like I said, the movie itself was okay, but the build up to that last ending was kind of.
You're not the only one that had a problem with that too. Like
I
that's,
mean,
that's
the
a
ending
lot
was
that
just
people
like,
don't
okay,
like.
you're building. Okay, he's going. Don't get him. Don't get him. Don't get him. And then it's like, and then the next thing you see is good. And I don't like the dying scene was not the best in the world.
Right, right.
But I
Maybe
don't
if
know.
they'd done a montage of him being lost and time passing by or something.
or
like
something,
that.
or something like that. You show him up a little bit
Have it
better
too
in
quick.
if he's frozen. If you wanted to show him frozen in the snow or whatever,
Right.
have it look a little bit better than that. He did.
Right.
They kind of look like they said, okay, this is okay. We gotta get this done. Just put it at and let's move on.
Yeah.
And that that's just me. That's me. Again.
Right.
And that's what one little problem I have with the
Right.
movie.
So, what were the scripts that you looked up? To talk
Well,
about?
I'd read, believe it or not, I kind of used a little bit of the old stuff or whatever that I used from another class I had. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is of course a comedy.
Great movie.
John Hughes directed it in the 80s.
Bueller.
It was, it's got some great lines from it. It's really good. There's some scenes in there. The script itself actually originally had, the Bueller family was only the mother and the father, and Ferris and his sister.
Right.
But in the script, it has two little kids, two little brothers and sisters in there too. I think they had shot it too, but they'd cut it out because they didn't need them because they didn't do anything for the rest of the movie. It was just them in the morning or whatever, when everybody's getting ready to.
Because you did have little, but you forget about them.
But it's like they just cut those scenes out with them because it's like they don't do anything later on, or there's no reason to have them in there.
Yeah, right.
So they basically cut out the whole kids or whatever type thing.
They're not in the movie at all?
They're at the beginning,
yeah,
very beginning, at like a breakfast. There's a breakfast table scene or whatever, and it shows them at there.
Yeah.
I mean, not in the movie itself,
that's a big
but
family.
they I think that they filmed it, but they cut it out before they put it out.
So the screenplay, they have a lot of scenes with
there's scenes at the beginning of them talking or whatever, or it shows them talking to their parents or whatever type thing.
Yeah.
But they didn't do anything else in the movie, so that's why they cut it out.
Right, makes sense.
And actually, I don't even know why they even had it in there in the beginning. But
all I can think of is they're just showing he's part of this bigger family. I don't know.
Maybe he can get away with things because
he's not the only kid. But he's in the middle. Yeah.
But so that, and there's a museum scene in the movie itself too, where where they're looking at Denver art things in the art museum in Chicago. It's not in the script.
They just kind of.
Well, this is a museum that John Hughes used to visit when he was, because he's from Chicago area,
right?
And he used to go visit during times when he had off or whatever type of thing. And he just goes around and look at different.
It's a montage sequence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a montage sequence, or it seems like, well, no, there's actually a sequence in it, in the script itself, that they're on a boat going around Chicago, and I think they
like
just
the ferry.
cut that
you see
out.
a shot of them on the ferry, though, don't you? You don't? Oh, okay.
But they on a boat, like a ferry or something like that, probably around, that's going through. I'm not sure the name of the river that goes through Chicago. I'm not even going to assume anything.
Right.
But they're going on a boat. Whatever. It shows them talking with each other about things or whatever. But it's not in the movie at all.
Right. And honestly, you could have that scene happen wherever.
I mean,
because has them talking at a pool around that same area. Has them.
Well, that's a little later. That's toward the end.
That,
They are mostly talking at this.
Recapping their day or something.
Which they do have in the script, which I thought kind of odd. They still had in the script. Where they were talking in that building with the stock exchange.
Oh, okay.
That's in Chicago, the Chicago Stock Exchange, and they're sitting in like a little thing where you can see all the things going on with the stock exchange or whatever.
Right.
And they're just talking about he asked her, or Ferris asked his girlfriend to marry him or whatever, or, would you want to get married today or whatever type of thing, and she's like,
right.
Because she has another year of high school. Him and his friend Cameron they're getting ready to graduate. So, but they there's that scene where they're talking, but then that's which I'm surprised at, because it's such an odd place. I guess it was kind of easy to shoot or cheaper to shoot at or whatever type thing.
Sure.
And so it was easier to shoot it there or whatever type thing. But but they still had it in the script though. It was in the script, but there's a few other places too that they have on the thing that they have more dialogue scenes of them talking with each other, but it's not in the movie though.
You wonder maybe if they you wonder then after that, did they shoot it and just decide to cut it out because it wasn't necessary for story?
Right. Or the shoot they didn't because the ferry ride could have been that could have been harder to shoot maybe. I'm just guessing
logistically and all that. So why not just have it happen? In another place.
Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting script because it's like I said, there's all kinds of those things, which I know the movie a lot because I used to watch it a lot when I was a kid. So but somebody would not maybe recognize as much.
And then the same guy, John Hughes, who directed it, was also the writer of it. You
Yeah.
know? And I imagine, I'm betting that I wonder if John Hughes wrote a lot of his movies, if not all of them.
But he
can see
wrote
that.
he wrote movies in general because he wrote Home Alone.
Right, that's
Well, no,
right.
Yeah, he wrote Home Alone.
He wrote The Breakfast Club. He wrote Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
He wrote Vacation, the
first
National
script.
Lampoon's Vacation. He just didn't direct it.
Right.
Yeah, he wrote that, the first Vacation movie.
He also wrote the Beethoven movies with the dog.
Yeah, he did a lot of family movies.
You know,
like later on.
Flubber, 101 Dalmatians. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
but he's very.
He did a lot of family-friendly movies as he went along.
You could almost say he was. I mean, people think of him mainly as a director, but my gosh, his tallies as a writer, he's got 51.
A lot of people think he also
He only directed 8 movies.
he wrote Penny and Pink. He didn't direct Penny and Pink, and that's always
right.
considered to be part of the Brat Pack collection or whatever type thing. But Pretty and Pink, because Maya Wingwald was in it, and she's always considered his muse or whatever.
Someone
type
named
thing.
Howard Deutsch or
Yeah.
whatever. Did that.
He did some other good stuff. He had directed some other.
What
good
other stuff
too,
did he
but
do with Molly Ringwald?
He did a Breakfast Club.
Oh, he did the Breakfast Club? I didn't know that.
16 Candles.
16
Oh
Candles.
gosh, yeah, I guess he was her muse.
So
She was his muse.
Yeah,
You know.
But oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was just saying but a lot of people think he did direct Pretty and Pink or whatever because she was in it, but he just wrote it.
I forgot he wrote Dutch. That's cool. No one's ever heard of that, but that
I
was
know
a
you're talking
funny
about. I know
movie.
you're talking about Ed O'Neill, somebody else.
Yeah. Interesting.
What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
Home Alone. Wow.
No, I was just gonna go off on how much I love Pretty in Pink, and that would
I
have been
love-
totally different.
It's probably one of my
That's fine.
favorite. It's
It's
probably
a
one of my
great
favorite. If it was his direct, if he had directed it, it would probably have been my favorite one that he
I love
directed.
old ladies movies because they're just so
Old ladies movies. What are you talking about? Ladies movies.
old 80s movies.
Oh, okay. That's just how old ladies,
yeah.
ladies
It
movies
did
like.
kind of sound ridiculous. It did kind of sound like it's a 30s. I don't know. It's just something about them that are. It's just when you walk outside or you wake up, it looks like a movie.
Yeah.
Now,
Is it sort of
your life is so movie-like because it's so HD, it's so high, 4K. But back in the day, you were really watching a movie.
Do you kind of equate it with comfort food or something?
Yeah,
kind of in that kind of
exactly.
vein?
Like it
Yeah.
was just the way it looked. Like I love watching old stuff that they filmed here with Mr. Quaid.
Right.
Like the old movies because it was shot in 16 millimeters.
Right.
It looks bad, and I like
Yeah.
it, but not bad as in
Right.
bad, but bad as in not compared to now quality wise.
Sure.
Because that was what it was back. That was good back then, but now it's like
Absolutely. Like
I wonder who wrote the movie Lost Boys.
Lost
That was
Boys.
so old.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that was made in '87, I
I'm
believe.
trying to think of who.
That's a great movie.
it is
Yes.
a bad
I know who
movie.
directed it, but I'm trying to think of his name because he did Batman and Robin, which is my
1987,
most
yeah.
hated movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not. Schumacher was
Schumacher,
the director
yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
The writer.
It's the bane of my existence. Anyway.
Check this out. Writers. We've got 5.
Yeah,
we
it's,
have.
it's a good movie though. That was a really good movie.
Looks like the originator might have been Jeffrey Boehm, the screenplay, and then James Germais, Jan Fisher.
So how does that
James
work?
Man, a
Germais
lot of
came back.
credits
Do
on
they
that.
just all sit in a circle and write?
No, usually one person will bang out the initial script and several drafts with that. It'll go to if a company buys it, they may put more writers on it to work it to be more of the movie they want to make. A lot of movies are made on sort of a committee type system, so you got to appease your financier or the main people calling the shots. You know, you come in as a director, you got your own story, but guess what? These other people investing their money into it, they're gonna want what they want because they're paying for it.
I get
So
it.
if they want you to change it, then are you gonna say no and walk away and leave all that money, or are you gonna maybe change it, or find some great way to compromise, or use your brilliant charisma to get them to see your way in the right way?
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of that's how that works. You know, and that's why like. A lot of times, you know, you'll see, especially on big franchisey type movies, Star Wars, you'll have some people on board for a lot of it, for script, all this work done with them, but for whatever reason, it's not going to work out. Invariably, there's a person with a say-so that can say, okay, you guys can stand down. We're going to bring this person in to save our movie or make the movie that we're paying for you to
Yeah.
make, you know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm really curious to see Solo, actually, because I like Ron Howard. He can put together a good movie, and I've heard good things about it. It was kind of, I feel, maybe unfairly boycotted, but I haven't seen the movie.
I've seen it. It's good. It's not the best one of the Star Wars movies,
Right.
but it's not the worst one of the Star Wars
Sure.
movies.
Ron Howard did a Star Wars movie?
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Yeah, but he was brought
because
in.
He was brought in as an emergency because the two directors they had were not going what they want, what Lucasfilm wanted.
They're more of comedy writers,
Yeah.
but they did hire those guys to come in.
Yeah, see,
so it's sort of like
I would love to. The story will be told eventually down the road.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in a book, I'm sure.
sure.
So I'm
I'd
kind
love
of
to see the movie
I
they
really
were
want to
in.
read that book.
You said Solo. What year did this come out?
This
Last
summer.
year?
This
Yeah,
summer.
yeah.
Oh, okay, because
2018.
it's like 3 different versions. Because I know a movie Solo that was.
Oh yeah, there was that
yeah.
movie. I know you're talking
People's
about.
guy. He's
Yeah,
the
Mary
director,
Van Peebles and Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
Yeah, different. Yeah, this is Star Wars Solo. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Was it Kurt Russell was in that too? No, that I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
yeah,
That one.
that one.
So you did Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There's another script that you looked at
I
too,
looked
right?
at Chasing Amy, which of course I'm
Right.
a Kevin Smith fan, but
And
you know,
You wrote it, right? He,
right? Yeah, he wrote. He
Yeah.
writes most of his all
Everything,
his movies.
yeah.
He's only like directed one or two movies that he didn't write.
Ah,
But Jason Amy, I like the script because I like the scene. One scene, well, not just the scene. That's the reason why I like it. But there is a good scene at the kind of, I guess, basically in the middle of the movie, where where Ben Affleck's in it with Joey Lauren Adams is in it. She's lesbian and they start a friendship together. But then he wants something more from that. He falls in love with her during their time of.
and
So
she
Amy
likes him
Gale.
too, but it's just kind of
Yeah, I mean she was
So wait, is Amy gay?
yeah.
Okay.
yeah she's gay, but I mean she hasn't always she's been with men before or whatever during her earlier years of course.
Right.
But at this point in time she's she figured that she was found out that she was gay.
Wasn't working for her, yeah.
Right, and so he falls in love with her, and there's the scene where he declares his love for her is a great scene, a very sad scene. There's a scene. It's really good. I love it, and it's like every guy would love to have that scene with a girl who he liked or whatever type thing, and say that dialogue because. Kevin Smith is say what you want about his direction. He's dialogue is the best.
That's what made him.
So I have to know, did she reject him?
She rejected him at first, but then they did get together or whatever. But
So she's no longer gay. I mean,
Well,
she is what she is
yeah.
when she is when she is.
Yeah.
I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, she
Yeah.
consider maybe they never consider her bi by any means, but I mean, it's like
You fall in love with who you fall in love with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dope.
And so basically you fall in love with it. You fall in love with
And it was interesting also what I liked about that movie were the side relationships, like his best friend or like he worked on a comic book with Jason Lee.
Yeah.
You know, it was interesting to see.
Yeah, they're both one's a writer and one's an artist or whatever. Well, actually,
He's an
one's
inker.
writer. Yeah, he's an inker. I'm
inker.
sorry. Yeah, because Jason Lee and Ben Affleck are best friends.
Really?
But
I didn't know that.
In the
movie.
Oh, okay.
And they.
I have seen bits and pieces of it. I remember Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck plays an artist of a comic book, and Jason Lee's an inker,
Right.
which is basically you're tracing over what
Someone
he's
else's pencils, yeah.
Right.
So-
but there's more to that than just
Oh, yeah.
that, type
course.
thing.
Chasing Amy's been on like Comedy Central, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sure,
I
it's
swear
been
I've
around a long
seen it.
time.
It's it a comedy in any?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a comedy.
It's a romantic comedy.
Oh yeah, it's
Mhm.
Kevin Smith. So.
But so yeah, and so that's the scene with him declaring his love for her is an awesome scene. The only thing about it is the script, though. There's one line that they didn't put in the movie. I'm glad they didn't put it in the movie. I think
Oh,
it
yeah.
would have just killed that whole little. I mean, because
Right.
he basically tells her. I mean, it's like I said, it's a great. You gotta read it.
I'm gonna watch.
But just read that little thing on the script or whatever, and that may hook you in there. But after he says that in the script, she turns away from because they're in his car and it's raining outside, he stopped the car on the side of the road because he couldn't hold it in anymore. So he started telling her exactly all this stuff.
Was this when he says what he says that you were saying that every man should say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she gets out of the car. She's like, the whole time he's telling her this, her reactions, are really just like tears, little bit tears, this, that, everything else. And then she gets out of the car and runs away from him, whatever. And in the script, it has him saying, "Was there something I said?" And that would have just diminished, because that's a sarcastic little thing. Huh?
Who's the guy? Isn't it Ryan Reynolds or something? Who's the guy that falls in love with her?
Oh, Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck's the one that falls in love with her.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry,
He's the main character in it. Yeah.
Sorry. I maybe
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
you
to cut
probably
you off.
misunderstood me. Ben Affleck is.
I knew
Jordan
you were
Laurent.
talking about him, but I didn't realize.
It's a fun little movie.
But
I like
anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, but he says that in the script. He says, "Was there something I said? Was it something I said, or something like that?"
Right.
To me, that would just like knocked out that whole speech he just gave to be ridiculous.
And then of course he couldn't be. You don't want
it would have
to.
just.
No.
But in the movie, he's like he sits back and just goes like takes a breath or whatever type thing. Like he just gave everything to her.
I'm very interested in hearing what he says.
Right.
He just like he gave everything. You just let it all out to a girl, and he just took a breath and just laid back in his car, and just like took a breath, and that's what it should. But in the script, he just says, "Was there something I said?"
Yeah.
And it's just he says it to himself, of course. But
Right.
it's like it's ridiculous.
What year did the chasing? It was the 90s, right, or early 2000s?
It was 90s,
later 90s.
mid to late 90s, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I remember him being really young in it.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
This was before, this was still before really, before I get ready to say Apocalypse Now, but Armageddon.
Right. What I liked about
Yeah.
Chasing Amy was I'm a comic book head, so it gave a little insight to the world of what comic book artists go through and sort of a little bit of the racket. Just used as almost like
Right.
jokes and stuff. It's what they do.
Jason
but
Lee
you
is
get
awesome.
some insight into that.
Jason Lee is awesome in
Yes,
the
he
movie.
is.
He's his
I
best
have a
friend.
question for you. And you're a Kevin Smith friend. I can't, like I said, I can't multitask and talk for some reason. Fan, jeez.
Yeah, I've had problems.
I am
speaking
so
to.
bad at multitasking. All right.
We wish friend.
So, did he? Because I've always noticed he had a cameo in Degrassi. I was a big Degrassi friend.
Okay, yeah.
I'm doing it again.
He did do a cameo on one
Yeah,
of
man.
the episodes. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted myself.
I know.
Thinking.
Go. What
I
about
was just saying, so he was in Degrassi a lot. Did he
Yeah.
write any of that?
No, he might have wrote some. I don't think he wrote any. He might. I don't know if he had anything to do with as much as
lines or anything, but-
I don't know, but because he just was playing a character of himself or whatever. It wasn't like
the
it
Silent Bob.
because he was playing. Because he kind of the episode I know you're talking about is like a 2-part episode. I
You
think.
watched Degrassi?
I saw that episode
Probably
because he
seen
was in
him
it. Because he was in it.
Yeah.
And it was like a 2-part episode, wasn't it, or something like that? I don't know. Anyway,
He was in it more than twice. The series.
Okay, maybe I
Over
hadn't
the
seen. I hadn't seen those episodes.
Well, that's what
so.
was weird. I didn't know if he was from Canada or if.
He loves Grassy in from what he said in his because he does a thing, or he did at least a couple like 3 different things of him being, I don't want to say stand up, but like he was doing a stand up routine to a point,
Right.
in front of people, and he's just talking about his movies, talking about directing, talking about everything, and it's kind of like a stand up routine because he's a really funny guy, so he's kind of a so. But in one of those, he says that he grew up in New Jersey, and on PBS in New Jersey, they get a Degrassi High show, and he would watch that.
Oh, in the 80s, the old ones, yeah. Okay, I was like, wait.
He said he'd seen like everyone since the beginning or whatever.
So he wanted to be a part of the new generation.
So he's always been a Canadian file, if you will. I don't know what they call it. Anglophile is British, but a Canadian file or whatever. He's always loved Canada or whatever type thing.
Yeah, he does a lot of his spoken word up there, travels up there.
Yeah, he travels up to there all the time, and he's a huge Canadian fan. He went to actually film school in Canada.
He may have shot. I don't know. I might corner myself, but for some reason I feel like he might have shot Red State in Canada, but I'm not sure.
He was a part of Red
Yeah,
State.
yeah. He wrote and directed Red State.
Yeah.
The newer one with John Goodman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
That's Kevin Smith. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
God,
He decided to do a little bit of horror, so he started off with that, and then he did one called Tusk that you might have seen.
I've
It's
heard
on
of
yeah.
If you like kind of weird horror, like,
Okay,
That's definitely
love
weird
it.
horror.
I feel like I might have either seen that or heard it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's-
That's the one.
It's still on there.
That's the one he basically created out of like
And he
a conversation.
and
So
he
Red
shot
State-
it. He shot it down in Lexington, like near
South Carolina?
Yeah.
No way.
Like near Charlotte.
Are we talking about Tusk or Red State?
Tusk.
Tusk, okay.
Yeah.
So Red State,
Red
that
State.
was not like I got what you, so I could see because it wasn't really horror to me,
Mhm.
but it was creepy.
Yeah.
like it was really good. The I guess just the plot, the whole thing was
Right.
I loved it. They were crazy. Oh my god!
I think it's going to be
scares
one
me-
thing and then it's something else. And,
Yeah, nothing scares me more than cults.
yeah.
Well, scary.
He got that from he got the idea from that movie from wow, what's the name of that
I can't help you.
group now? It's a religious group. It's not a cult. It's,
The group that was where they were killed by taken out by the FBI. Was it the Waco guys?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's a religious group, but it's not a cult or anything like that. It's a
right.
South something. Oh crap!
I know the group you're talking about. I
But
forget the name.
they-
They protest a lot of.
Yeah, they protest a lot
military
of-
funerals and stuff
Because,
like
yeah,
that.
it's those group
Wait,
that
they
is
protested
really.
funerals.
Yeah, maybe they're sort of an anti-gay group. They're like they've been in the news quite a bit. I can't remember the name of their group.
But but it's based on a true group,
Right.
but they're not
Funerals, though.
cult.
Because it would be like a military person who happened to be gay, so they'd go and protest that funeral.
Yeah, I mean,
which
it's-
is terrible.
harsh. That's
It's
terrible.
awful.
Yeah,
That
so
is
that
super
that
But they're all like, they're
but
not.
they're
good
extremists.
people.
This is real.
is-
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They were all.
yeah, that's where you get the-
No, that's
No,
Waco.
That's so disrespectful.
Yeah,
Don't get
why
clocked
would
in
you
the
do that
face.
at a
Yeah.
funeral? Like,
Like I said, they're not. I mean, they're not a cult group. I mean, they're not a cult.
It's a church.
It's a church.
it's a.
It's a church.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
church, and
And that's where the idea for that. I mean, of course, he went more cultish with the movie,
right.
Okay.
Right.
but it was that's what he got
Just
from.
to add to that whole conversation, and this is what I love about this adds to a movie, just movies in general. And I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Movies like Red
I'm
State
listening.
and that idea of them like going to the church and stuff,
Mhm.
I hate hearing about that because it really happens,
Right.
obviously. But I love them being turned into movies because it's like watching that. You don't want to see that in real life.
No.
In real life, I'm gonna go crazy on you.
Right.
Like I'm gonna stand up for anybody and
Sure,
everybody.
absolutely.
But over a movie, you get to just like watch it and just. And you know it's not really happening what you're seeing, so
Uh-huh.
you have that comforting feeling that it's not real. What
Well,
you're
it becomes a
seeing.
fantasy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a
I
Well,
just
at
love
least-
I love like real things like that, even though they're horrible, knowing that they're real. You know what I mean?
Right,
I don't
yeah.
know. Just the whole idea of it.
Well, at
sounds
least
cool.
you got the idea that people. Well, at least now I know it's stuff out there like that. That's what movies opens you up to. It lets you know that there's things like that
Oh, yeah.
happening. I don't think everything just comes from imaginary. I think somebody has an experience of something.
there's a stimulus somewhere.
Somebody knows something.
Oh, yeah.
They're not just making these movies just because.
But
Now
you
you
can
can
make a
take
movie
some-
about you
Yeah.
and what you've been through.
There's
and-
good
Yeah.
stories everywhere.
Oh yeah, dreams. Like the one I want to do is from a dream. You know, Twilight was a dream.
So, Aiden, tell us a little bit about the script you looked up and how it compares to the actual finished movie.
So I was looking up As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson.
Great
I
movie.
love that movie. I didn't read all of the script because I obviously am a bad student.
Just looked at a scene, a scene or two.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of one of the scenes because the first scene that I noticed something that was different was the dog scene in the beginning.
Right.
I did read past that, so I'm not just saying it was just because of the beginning. Because
Sure.
The beginning. But so when he threw Verdell down the chute, have you guys? Has everybody seen this?
I have, yeah.
Have you seen As Good as It Gets?
It's a good one. Put it on your
movie.
list.
Yeah, watch it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sam, what was his name? The gay neighbor?
Oh,
I was just reading it literally 20, 30 minutes
yeah.
ago. Or an hour ago, obviously.
Kinnear played him, didn't he?
Yeah. Kinnear. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know about the name of that or the name
Why
of
am
the
I
character.
forgetting this guy's name? I was just reading the script. Is it Sam?
I got you. Keep going, and I'll get you.
So the neighbor, the gay neighbor. Okay, you gotta tell me because I can't finish.
Simon.
Simon. Okay, why did I want to say Sam? Simon
S-words.
gets his dog back, and he said something different. There was different dialogue, obviously, kind of like you were talking about with that movie Chasing Amy. You know, the dialogue was kind of off. And I've seen the movie so many times that I kind of know what they're gonna say, and I know that wasn't to be said. But what I was getting at, I actually liked the dialogue better than the movie version.
Right.
But for the most part, the dialogue was on point from
Sure.
as much as I read. I read a good couple,
Right.
Pages.
Right.
I don't really know what else to say as far as that.
So what was the difference again with what happened with the dog?
I could have went off a different tangent. So the dog, it wasn't the dog. What happened with the dog? It had to do with the dog. When he got his dog back,
Right.
the dog was licking his face,
Right.
and that wasn't in the script.
Right.
And then he said something, but the way it's like some dialogue he said in the script
Right.
as soon as, because that's in the movie the dog was licking his face, and
Sure.
it wasn't in the script.
Right.
So at least that's not what I read. I didn't read it.
Right. Well, the dog actor decided that was the thing to do, so.
I guess so.
And it worked, yeah.
Yeah, it did work. Maybe that was just something they added in there because it's what happened.
Right.
But I have to say though, watching the movie, I don't know how it feels to read a script. I do,
Right.
but not this particular movie. I don't know how it feels to read this script and then watch the movie.
Right.
I was imagining everything that
As it
I've
happened
seen.
in the movie. That's the thing.
It's what's
Yeah.
made it better though for me
Sure.
because it made it more interesting.
Well, you can put the faces there, you can put the voices there in your mind and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
You also realize how much a script it gets better when you add a good actor to, when you have the perfect actor.
A great actor can make or break your film.
Yeah.
You know?
It was great. I was like, this could be something that would. This is obviously a really good story. As good as it gets, a great story. I love the main character.
Yeah.
Melvin, so funny.
And it ends on a nice note. And
I love the
all that
turnaround
kind
of the
stuff. Yep.
characters. The twists that happen.
Right.
You don't expect it. It's just it's a great movie, and the script is just amazing. And whoever wrote it, I did not look it up. Yeah, can you?
Yeah, actually, we got that. Writers, there's a few. Let's see. We've got the story is from Mark Andrews, and then Mark Andrews looks like he did a version of the screenplay. And we got James L. Brooks who
Nice.
joined in on that. So, a lot of movies actually that you're going to look up online, you're going to probably find multiple writers that have had parts of it and stuff like that.
Well, they
Not always, but for sure.
great movie. And
For sure.
Yeah, that was my whole take on it. And I read another one, Trick or Treat, and I didn't read
Right. Not the horror movie from the 80s, but the more recent
the
one.
more
with
recent one
yeah.
that came out like 2009 or something
Yeah.
like that, whatever
Yeah.
year it was. But that was a good script. It was really to the T though.
Yeah.
It's a very it's not so much there's stories. It's little stories, and I think honestly, correct me if I'm wrong. Movies like that, those are different writers, right?
Oh, an anthology series where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that's maybe has something to do with
In
it.
most anthologies, for each different story, you might have a different writer. Generally, somebody will come in and write a wraparound story that loosely connects them all in some way. It just depends. Sometimes it could be all written by the same person. Maybe they have a lot of little stories they've always wanted to tell and found a nice way to tie them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love movies like that. Those are my favorites.
Yeah,
keep
anthologies
up with
are
them.
cool. For sure. For
But
sure.
That's my take on the script that I read recently and
Right.
didn't finish yet. So
I highly advise, and I need to do it myself, is, it might be cool to try it again.
Oh no, I'm
we'll-
gonna keep reading.
We'll have little bits of it too, and then maybe we can come up with stuff. We don't have to spend all of next week on that, but it'd be nice maybe to kind of, look at some screenplays too a little bit, a little long as we go. I guess for the last part of this, we can go a little more into the process, and we'll get some stuff with you, Nate. Because you're going through writing. You've done some writing before you came to film school, right?
Yeah.
But now you've got some ideas for stories that you are trying to hash out in that
Yeah.
format. So how's it going?
It is a challenge because I'm trying, I found myself writing a story about a friend who just wants to go to work.
Right.
I end up picking the friend up. I can tell it because I scratched the whole thing.
Right.
But I ended up picking a friend up from work. But little does he know I'm about to go rob a bank.
Right.
And I go rob a bank, but no cops are chasing me.
Right.
And I ended up meeting up with a cop, and the cop is working with me.
Right.
And like he knows. So it's like corrupted. I called the story "Corrupted Friend, Corrupted Cop," but I scratched it because I didn't want to be too cliche, too basic.
Right.
So I'm working on another story called The Bully. It's
Okay.
about it may sound kind of cliche,
Uh-huh.
but at the same time I'm working on putting a twist. I'm not going to reveal that.
Sure.
But it's about a kid that goes to school, of course, typical, gets teased for
Right.
whatever reasons or
Right.
whatnot. And I'm trying to make it. The challenge is finding somebody to act it out, and also twisting the story up a little bit where
Right.
it can be a little bit more interesting. Because
Sure.
I believe people are gonna always want to look into stories with bullying,
Right.
in general. But
Right.
I wanna put a little twist to it, not like a revenge twist, but a twist like maybe something happens, somebody helps the kid or something like that. Something like that.
Okay.
But just every aspect challenge. I just finding a person to act it out.
Yeah.
Probably directing it.
Right. With
just everything is a challenge.
Well, let's take it to the writing process itself. How was it, even starting off in that first one, to go from this idea you have in your head to the page? Was it like pretty automatic, and you kind of knew what to do,
Actually, when
or
I
did
was
you
writing
stare at the
first-
blank page for a while?
Actually, now The Bully is the challenge, but actually, when I was writing the other movie, the Corrupted Friend, Corrupted Cop,
Right.
we were actually in class, in Mr. Quay's class, and
Right.
he was lecturing us, and I was thinking about the idea, and I just started writing, and it was actually pretty.
Yeah. So you came up with an outline there in class.
It was
Yeah.
actually pretty good.
Right.
And I kept going over it and
Right.
everything. It was actually pretty good, but I started feeling like it was getting a little too cliche,
Sure.
too expected.
That's part of it, though. You
But-
go through, and it's a lot of when you write something and you're going back through and questioning what you've written. It's
Yeah,
part of the
and I
editing
kept
process,
scrapping.
and then you might come back to that story in a new draft or something like that, and change those parts of it that bother you.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is kind of, I think that's part of the process too. Gosh knows there's a lot of stuff I've written, and I'm like one of the stuff I've written called Paralysis. I've got like the first act kind of written.
Is it about sleeping?
But it's about sleep paralysis.
Oh yes.
And but there's some lines by some of the characters that I know I'm going to change. It's like, I don't want that. That's totally against how they are. So I want to go back and make those changes, and I will. That's when I've had sleep paralysis, and I wanted to write it into a movie.
That I've had the experience. It's a scary experience.
Those things did you see the things at the foot of your bed?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's not fun.
it's scary.
But it's interesting.
People always used to tell me. I don't want to get off topic, but people
Right.
used to always say, "Oh, it's a devil or something trying to get you or whatever."
Anything unknown that scares people, they're going to say that's the
Yeah.
devil. That's just a
I
blatant
had
kind of
one-
whatever answer. But yeah.
I had one before, and it's like I woke up, and it was like this
Love it.
shadow over me, and then I went back to sleep, and I woke up
Yeah.
again, and it was like I was scared as shit.
Oh
I was
yeah,
scared.
yeah.
That's gonna be a good film.
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
I woke up, couldn't move. I could move my eyes, and there were three beings
Yeah.
like looming over the foot of my
Right,
bed.
Right.
And eventually I could move, and there's a little light that I could switch on above. And as soon as I lit it up, it's like nothing was there or anything like that. And they say really you're in this sort of space between dreaming and being awake, so you still could hallucinate and stuff.
Right.
My only question to that is, why are people saying the same thing? That's my only thing. It could
Yeah.
very well be whatever, but that's just it.
Well,
Yeah.
some people see
Yeah.
different things too. I mean, I don't know. I've heard of the sleep paralysis thing, where some people have said they had they lived in a haunted place, whatever
Right.
the case may be, haunted
Sure.
apartment, haunted house, whatever.
Sure.
But then the other people have said it was just sleep paralysis that they had.
Right.
Some people have said that they not just had sleep paralysis; they've had other things going on in their house.
Wording
or
is
whatever.
very important.
I-
You can describe the
I
same
used-
thing and make it be very blasé or very, oh my gosh,
Coming up, I thought I was crazy. I thought I was the only person that dealt with something like that until
Uh-huh.
it started coming forward, and I started looking up. I was like, what is
Right.
it when you try to wake up but you can't wake up, and it feels like this
Mhm.
something's taking over
Mhm.
you? And they said it was sleep
There's
paralysis.
a documentary on
Yeah.
it that's not so bad. It was on.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. Yeah, I've
Mhm.
seen
Nightmare,
it.
the
Yeah.
nightmares or nightmares.
The Nightmare, yeah. And it's the same people that did Room 237, which is about talking about, I think, Kubrick's Shining and sort of like the conspiracies involved in that. It's a fun movie. You can sort of take or leave it, you know, it's interesting. You know, and they I think they have some points, at least they word it that way. It's like, well, I could see that maybe. I'm not going to put all my money in that, but, you know, it's an interesting idea. But the sleep paralysis one was neat. You know, they had these different interviews with people and, you know, yeah.
Recording, I seen on YouTube somebody recorded it, but he oh my god, he was horrible. He didn't edit it right because
Right.
you couldn't. I think he was just doing it just to get views or something.
Right.
But I would like to see it being recorded on somebody to see.
Right.
Maybe maybe just, but it's hard to catch because you don't know if you're gonna have one.
What I imagine is like if you were recording on a device, you wouldn't really see it because I think there's something.
It's mental.
Yeah, you know, I think there is something to that. But to say guess what? None of us can really say what a dream is. We put it off as not important because well, we have no real way of knowing it. It's just something we experience when we go to sleep. So it sort of has this unimportant facet in our society, but also there's the study of it and stuff, and it is kind of, dreams affect us in a lot of ways. Maybe a lot of the times it's us just dealing with what we go through in life or something like that. Who knows? I mean, there's as many
Oh man, yeah. It
you
is.
know
It is.
reasons to explanations for it as there is like, you know, sand.
I've had some
Sand
very
Tornado.
just weird dreams where I'd be like, is that really what my subconscious thinks?
Mhm.
Like, or is that really what a side of my brain? I had this conversation with my friend girl the other day. That's what I call her, friend girl. And I was like, you know, I had this weird dream one time or recently, and I can't remember what it was, but it was so off the wall and stupid and creepy and scary
Right.
that I'm just like, am I really just deep down that insane? But you know, I think that we have these parts of our brains that don't work, and mine's just super fast.
I think, you know, that almost the brain in a certain kind of way, because I was thinking about this the other day, am I responsible for all the thoughts that come into my head? Lord, I hope not. And it's sort of like maybe we're like a radio receiver, like it's coming to us and for whatever reason it's there. Is that really your thought? Did you want to think that, whatever it is? You'd probably say, I don't want to think that ever, but there it is happening in your head.
yeah.
You know, and I think we can let ourselves off the hook though.
Oh yeah, no, and I don't blame myself for
Yeah.
that. Sometimes I'll have dreams and I'll be like, I meant to do that. I know I did, but you know,
Right.
there's just times where I just know
Right.
I didn't do that.
And I'm fascinated by dream interpretation. You know, I don't really know. It's impossible to say how valid it is or not. I think that validity is in a very individualistic kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
You know, but I think we can all agree that dreams might be a cool place for ideas.
it is.
You
So
know?
I've got a really dead battery.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just
We're
in case,
we're
you know.
pretty near the end of this. Is there anybody? I mean, this is going to be our longest one so far. We're at an hour and 25 minutes.
Nice.
Is there anything that anybody wants to add to this before we wrap it up?
No.
All
Save it for
right.
the next one.
Well, tune in next week for episode 4. We're going to have something really exciting to talk about, but that's it for the P114 Filmmakers podcast. Check us out online on YouTube and be sure to leave us questions and comments. See you, everybody. Bye.